guys, welcome back. Thanks again for joining us. This class is going to be a bit of opening through the lower half, but it's going to be really accessible for everyone. So if you're new to the practice, this is going to be a great class for you to start. So start in a comfortable seat. You can have your legs crossed, you can be sitting on your knees. You can be sitting on a prop if you need to, a block or a pillow. Start to close down your eyes. Whenever we start any physical practice, we want to take a moment to let ourselves land here. Not just physically, also mentally. Leave whatever you're holding on to behind. Just be with what you're doing right now. Keep your eyes closed. Start to drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Inviting this length through the left side of the neck. One more breath. Move back through center, then start to drop left ear to left shoulder. Through all of the movements the neck can make, come back towards center. Start to look over your right shoulder so you're rotating through your cervical spine, through the neck. Keep that length lifting up, back towards center. Start to look over your left shoulder. Back to neutral. Start to drop your chin towards your chest, but still imagine that length lifting up through the spine. All that's moving is those top few vertebrae. Then start to look up, lift your chin towards the sky, the ceiling. Back to neutral. Really good. Start to bring your hands out on the mat in front of you. Coming into this neutral tabletop shape. Make sure your hands are really active, especially the left one, because the right arm is going to lift up with the breath in. Keep the hips square, thread the right behind the left, and land here. Allow the upper right arm to come to the earth. That's going to be what dictates how far you twist, is how hard you push into the ground. Again, try and keep the hips as square as you can. Take one more breath out. Ground that left hand, lift the right back up on a breath. Take it to the earth, and we switch over sides. The left hand rises up. Thread it back behind the right. That upper arm, the shoulder, towards the earth. And you can push the whole back of that left arm, even the hand, into the ground to twist a little bit more. One more breath out. Lift it back up again, reground the right hand, lift up through the left, plant it on the earth. As you breathe in, your head's going to come up, your hip's going to come up, your belly's going to drop. Then you tuck the chin, you tuck the hips, you push the ground away as you breathe out. So these are our cat-cows. We're going to move through with the breath, open up through that front line on the inhale. Close over. Contract through the core, squeeze the air out as you breathe out 2 more times. Head up, hips up, breathe in. Keep the hands really active, just like when we were twisting. Fingertips should be losing all the blood because you're squeezing the mat one more round. Moving slowly with your breath. Let the movement fit into the breath. Don't change your breath to compensate for the movement. Come back to a neutral spine on your next breath in. Tuck your toes downward, facing dog Ardha Mukha Svanasana. That's the first one. Pedal out the legs if you need to. Any movements you're taking here though, they're for a reason. Yeah? We don't want to get into the habit of just coming into our yoga class, move, this is what we do. No, we want to make sure that any movements we're taking, so like India here is pedaling out her legs. Yeah, you can do the same. But that's because maybe the hamstrings are a little tight, we want to open up. Once you've taken any movements you need, I want you to think about actively spinning those sitting bones up towards the sky. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out our breakdown of down dog, I urge you guys go check it out. We're here in this shape a lot. Just one more breath out. Slowly start to walk the feet towards the hands. Take as many steps as you need. When you get there, fold over. We still want those sitting bones spinning up, but I want you to think head, shoulders, chest, heavy towards the earth. And they're acting as a weight, pulling this length through the upper half while the bottom half is lengthened. Bend your knees as much as you need to here. Yeah, we want to try and get the belly as close to the thighs as you can. Take one more breath out, release down as much as you can. Then really slowly stack your vertebrae on top of one another as you rise up. Take a breath in. Every time we stand up, breathe in. That's going to help stop you from getting dizzy. Then roll the shoulders back. Urdhva Hastasana, lift your hands up towards the sky as you breathe in. Then fold back over. Uttanasana, this pose is called forward fold. Bring your hands to your shins. Take the crown of your head away from your sitting bones. Plant your hands, step back to a high plank. Now we're moving through our sun A, but we're going to modify everything. Shift forward, drop your knees. This is our modified high plank. Now if you know all the normal variations, you're welcome to take them. Yeah, but if you can see the screen here, you've noticed India, her hips aren't over her knees here. Yeah, this is doing not very much for the core. Yeah, we want to keep that engagement, keep that work. Just take a little bit of the weight out. Yeah? So by shifting the weight forward, there's a straight line from the knees through the crown of the head. The core is still working. Yeah? Hands are still active. Just take one more breath. Slowly start to lower down through Chaturanga. The elbows stay in, down to the earth. Baby Cobra. Push the toes into the ground. The head, chest, the shoulders lift. Lower down. Breathe out. And rise up on the inhale. You may notice India's hands are off the ground because the upper back's doing the work. Lower down, breathe out. One more time, lift up. So there's no pushing the hands into the ground. We're strengthening through the back line. Lower down. As you breathe out, I want you to keep that core engagement. Come back through the tabletop. Downward facing dog as you breathe out. So we're going to move through in flow. This is where we start to pair that breath and the movement. Move at your own pace. We're going to do everything modified. Again, if you know the full variations, take them. It's up to you. This is your practice. Take a breath out. Heels going to rise up. Breathe in. Take a bend through the knees. Step or maybe a little jump forward. Come to a halfway lift. Breathe in. Fold over. Keep the bend in the knees if you need it. Then start to rise up. Use the whole breath, really slowly. Fold back over, breathe out. Halfway lift, spin the sitting bones up, this neutral lower back. Then plant the hands, step back, high plank. Shift the weight forward, breathe in, drop the knees. Then lower down through Chaturanga as you breathe out. Baby Cobra, squeeze shoulder blades, hands come up. Lower down, breathe out. Push up through the tabletop. Inhale, keep this movement going as your hips lift you up and back. One more time, heels rise, breathe in. Bend the knees out, step or maybe a little jump. Halfway lift, inhale. Then fold over, squeeze all that air out. Start to rise up. Slowly, long straight line, then fold back over. Lead with the chest. Hands to shins, flat lower back, half lift. Plant the hands, high plank. On the breath in, shift the weight forward, drop the knees. Then I want you to keep the elbows hugging in tight as you lower through Chaturanga down to the ground. Start to lift, head, chest, shoulders, squeeze the upper back. Then lower down, breathe out. Push up through the tabletop, inhale. Downward facing dog, breathe out. Really, really good. Come high up on the toe. Bend the knees. Step or maybe a little jump. Halfway lift. Really nice. Control. Fold forward. Breathe out. Then Urdhva Hastasana. Try and use the whole breath in to rise up. Samastitihi. Hands at heart. Breathe out. Really nice. Yeah. That's a beautiful way, Sane, and you're going to see it in a lot of yoga practices to start to bring this warmth into the body. Yeah. And we just showed you a modified version of everything you can do, so you'll see no matter where you are in the practice, that's something that's accessible for you. We're going to start our flow from this really stable, strong standing shape. So take a breath out here. Start to take your left foot to the back of the mat. Pivot both your toes towards the left. So make sure your legs are wide. Take another big breath in, length through the spine. Then fold forward as you breathe out. And just like those other forward folds, the sitting bones are still spinning up. You can have a bend in the knees. You don't have to be as deep into this shape as India is right now. Anytime we fold forward, I want you to think chest towards the earth. We take the chest towards the earth. We keep the lower back really neutral, really straight. That's going to keep the sensation in the back of the leg. I don't know if you can notice here, India's toes are actually in further than her heels. That's going to stop putting pressure on the inside of the knee. Take one more breath out here. Come to a halfway lift as you breathe in. Take your left hand to your right foot, right hand to the sky. Twist as you breathe out. Now, if you want a little more here, if you're feeling comfortable, you can take that right hand, wrap it on the inside of the left thigh. Yeah. But again, this is just an option. Yeah, take your version. This is your practice. One more breath out. Come back to that halfway lift. Breathe in. Then we take the twist the other way. The right hand grabs a hold of that left ankle. Left arm either comes up or it reaches around and grabs the inside of the right thigh. When we twist, it's on an exhale. Yeah, then you've got that depth. The breath in is going to expand. Twist a little further on the breath out. One more exhale. Start to rise up, prana pull, hands come up overhead, breathe in. Skandasana over the left leg. We're coming to a high skandasana. Yeah. And if you've done our classes before, you've probably seen this shape. We love it. There's so much strength to be built at end range. Yeah, and what we mean by that is you can come to a depth where you're building strength, but you can also move out of it. Yeah, we don't want to get to this point in our practice where we have all this passive range. So you can see India is not at her full depth here. But as soon as a bend comes into this knee that's in line with the toes, you are building strength. Don't feel like you need to come all the way down to the earth. Now this next transition is going to be a little fancy footwork, so take a breath out. Extended arrow head towards the front of the mat. Breathe in. Notice that pivot. Yeah, so you're high up on the left toe now. Planted through the right foot. There is this long straight line from that left heel through the hips, through the torso, reaching up and out through the fingertips. Take one more breath in. Step the left foot up. Samastitihi. Breathe out. Cool. We'll take it on the other side. One more breath out with your hands at heart. Step the right foot to the back of the mat. We land in this wide-legged shape. And we're not going one breath, one movement just yet. So take one more breath in. Fold forward, breathe out. Again, notice that little fancy footwork, toes moving inside of the heels. Chest towards the earth. Don't be afraid to bend your knees. Yes, India is really deep into this shape, but this is just what she looks like in this pose. Everyone is going to look totally different. Yeah, there's no right, there's no wrong. Take one more breath out. Halfway lift, breathe in. Start to twist. left hand, right foot, right hand lifts up. Maybe it grabs the inside of the left leg. One more breath out. Come back to that halfway lift, breathe in. Then we twist to the left. The right hand to the left foot. Left hand to the earth, maybe inside of the leg. Breathe out. Start to rise up. Prana, pull hands, reach towards the sky. Skandasana over the right leg. So alignment-wise, what we want to think here is keep both knees and both toes in line. And even though the legs are making a different shape, we can still do that. Yeah? If the left knee here is spinning up, the left toes are spinning up. If the right toes are going out, the right knee is going in the same direction. We come to a depth where we feel we are building strength. And a little secret, as soon as you're bending this knee, you are building strength. Take one more breath out. Extended arrowhead, pivot on the toes so you're high up on the right, reaching up and forward. The belly here is not resting on the thighs. Engage the right glute a little bit more. Take one more breath in. Samastitihi, hands at heart, breathe out. Alright, now starts the flowing through one breath, one movement. Guys, move at your pace. Yeah, if you maybe don't have that much breath control yet, totally fine. You're going to move a little bit quicker. That's okay. The more you can slow the movement down, the more work it is. So we'll take a breath out here before we start to move together. Step the left foot back, wide leg, breathe in, turn the toes, fold forward, breathe out, chest towards the earth. Halfway lift, inhale, twist right hand to left foot, breathe out. Halfway lift, inhale, left hand, right foot, breathe out. Prana pull, lift all the way up, inhale. Just a high skandasana over the left leg, breathe out. Pivot, that fancy footwork, extended arrowhead, bellies off the thigh, reach up and forward. Step the left foot up, samastiti. Straight away the right foot steps back. Breathe in, there's length through the spine. Fold forward, breathe out. Halfway lift, inhale. Start to twist, left hand, right foot, right arm towards the sky. Hands back to the earth, halfway lift, breathe in. Right hand, left foot, twist as you breathe out. Prana pull, rise all the way up. High skandasana over the right leg as you breathe out. Maybe it's a little deeper. Then extended arrowhead, that long straight line, heel through fingertips, step the right foot up, samastitihi. We're going to flow it through again. Step the left foot back, breathe in. Length through the spine, then fold forward, breathe out. Half lift, length through the spine, then start to twist. Right foot, left ankle, breathe out. Half lift, inhale. Left hand, right foot. Halfway lift, prana pull, lift all the way up. I'm just following India. Skandasana over the left leg. She knows what she's doing more than I do. Extended arrow, fancy footwork, high up on the toes, reach up and forward, step up. Samastitihi. We're going to go through one more time. Step the foot back, length through the spine, fold forward, breathe out. Halfway lift in, then start to twist, left hand, right foot. Back through center, that halfway lift, right hand, left foot, twist. Prana pull, lift all the way up. High skandasana over the back leg. Then slowly start to transition high up on the right toes, reaching up and forward. Breathe in. Samasthiti. Breathe out. Good. You can stay at the front of the mat. Just start to move your feet towards the edges. Toes and knees in the same line. Start to sink the hips down. Malasana. Yogi squat. Now here, essentially a two-legged skandasana. Yeah, so you want knees and toes going in the same line. Do not feel as though you need to be as deep as India is in this shape. Just like in skandasana, I would much rather see you higher up, building this strength through the legs, than all the way down to the ground and passive. And we want strength at end range. Build this muscular engagement. Once you have this shape in the legs, imagine somebody's got a string tied to the crown of your head and they're just lifting it up. And what that does, when you lengthen through the spine, you can bring your hands to your heart, squeeze your shoulder blades, open up through the chest. And now, as far as our active resting poses, these poses we can stay in for a while, but we're still getting something out of it. This is one of the best ones. Yeah, if you have a couple minutes during the day, sit in Malasana. Yeah, great for your spine, great for your hips. One thing it's really good for that we don't think about is this ankle flexion. Yeah, that's part of the body we don't really spend that much time on. Yeah, but this mobility for the ankle has these beautiful effects up the chain. Take one more round of breath. Keep your right foot at the front of the mat. Start to step the left back. Land in lizard. And everyone here, drop your left knee down straight away. And just like that very first modified high plank, the hips are forward here. Yeah? The knee to the crown of the head is a straight line. What that's doing here is, yes, there's a little bit of core engagement, but it's also allowing this opening through the left front of the leg. Left hip flexor, the left quad. If the hips are back, we lose that. Yeah. We want this opening through the hips. Take one more breath. Start to turn the right toes out. The right knee is going to follow along. Ground down through the left hand. The right arm rises, breathing. Start to take that right hand to the inside of the right knee. Yeah, we're going to stay here today. Again, if you know the full variation where you reach up and back to the foot, you're more than welcome to take it. You can get almost as much out of it just taking that right knee out towards the side. Now, don't need to push as hard as you can. Yeah, think about just gently taking it out. Notice here, India's hips are still moving down and forward. That right knee moving out is getting into the adductors on the inside of the right leg, but the hip sinking forward is what's getting into the front of the left. Just one more breath. Start to bring that right hand back. Step the left foot up, back into Malasana. Good, right foot starts to move to the back of the mat. We land in lizard on the other side. Right knee comes down again, letting the hips sink down and forward. Yeah, we still want activity here. Still somewhat engaged, especially through that right glute. Just moving them down and forward. Just a few more breaths here. Try and expand through the collarbones if you can. Keep the chest really broad. Start to ground down. The right hand, the left toes, and the left knee start to move out, but they're going in the same direction. That left hand just encouraging the left knee out towards the side. Really active through that right arm. You're not dumping into the front of the right shoulder. Keep the shoulder blades hugging towards each other. This gentle twist. I don't know if you can see here, but India's left toes are flexed. That's allowing her to take this knee out towards the side without putting too much pressure on her joints. Take one more breath. Back towards center. Keep the hands under the shoulders, step the left foot back, land in a downward facing dog. We land in this shape, take any movements you need, but then spin the sitting bones up. Push the ground away with the hands, still really active. Start to think about taking your belly towards your thighs, creating this V shape through the hips. Your heels do not need to be on the ground. India is just really open in this shape. Yeah? If you're new to this practice, you need to get out of the habit right now of looking at what other people look like in poses and thinking that's how it's meant to be. It's going to look totally different in your body. Really slowly start to walk your feet towards your hands. Land in this forward fold just for a few breaths. Release down as much as you can. Every time you breathe out, maybe you sink a little deeper. One more exhale. Start to rise up towards the sky. Roll the shoulders back. Bring your hands to your heart. Samastiti. From here, start to ground down through the right foot. Spread the toes out. Notice what it feels like as you start to shift your weight into the right. Your left knee starts to lift up. We land in stork pose. And we want this long straight line, or working as close to it as we can. And so engage the right glute. Think about taking your belly button towards your spine. You don't want to be leaning forward or back. Yep. We want fingertips lifting straight up from the heel. And notice how it feels as the weight shifts in your foot. Yeah, you have four corners, two at the front, two at the back. Notice that weight moving from one corner to the next. Take one more breath in here. Start to externally rotate that left leg. And you're going to bring the foot to the inside of the right leg. Now, it doesn't need to be all the way up here. It can be at your calf. Or it can be used as a little kickstand, heel just above the ankle, toes on the earth. As long as that left heel isn't going straight into the right knee, it's okay. Again, there's lots of different variations. Your tree pose may not look like India's, and that is perfect. Take one more breath here and exhale. Start to lift that left knee back up. Plant it on the ground. Good. Feel the weight in the left. Start to lift the right knee up. Catch the balance. Feel the weight shifting in that left foot. Belly button to spine, this straight line. One more breath in. The right knee starts to move out to the side. And if you can, take the same variation. Take the foot in the same spot. Can be anywhere up that leg. High up on the calf as a little kickstand. Again, no right, no wrong. But there's still that straight line of energy from the left heel up through the crown of the head. Take one more breath. Back through stork. As you breathe in, plant the foot down. Urdhva, rise the hands up. Fold forward as you breathe out. Come to a halfway lift. Then start to bend through your knees. Bring your sitting bones towards the earth. Roll down onto your back. No fancy transition. Start to bring your feet sitting bones distance apart so they're a little closer than your hips. You want them close enough so you can reach down and just brush your heels. Coming towards bridge pose. So this first one, we're going to go really slowly. We're going to kind of break down what's happening through the spine as you lift up. So think about your big toe mound pushing into the earth. I want you to lift just your hips off the ground and then stop there. That's a really small movement. Then start to lift your lower back up off the earth. Then your upper back, your thoracic spine. When you get to the top, roll your shoulders underneath. There's a few different arm variations you can take. Like India, you can interlace your fingers. You can have robot arms. Or you can grab the edges of your mat, but no matter where you are, think about pushing your upper arms into the earth. Yeah, that's going to take any pressure out of the neck. So all the weight here is going down through the feet, especially those big toe mounds, through the upper arms. Gently draw your knees towards each other. They don't have to touch, but just energetically moving towards the midline. Hips are lifting up, chest is moving back. Take one more big breath in. Then the same way we came in, come out the opposite. One part of the spine at a time. When you get to the ground, windscreen wiper the knees side to side. We're going to come into it one more time. You're going to come up on your own now. On a breath in, start to lift up, but control it if you can. When you get to the top, shoulders come underneath. Hips lift up, knees moving towards each other. Think about pushing the ground away, engaging your glutes, but still moving the knees towards each other. Yeah? If you're going to engage the glutes, you need to think knees hug to the midline, and vice versa. Those are two movements that are going to counteract each other, but they're also going to create a lot of engagement when we do them together. Take one more breath in. Slowly start to lower down, knees side to side. And start to hug them into your chest. Rock and roll up and down. Take your time. Face the front. Once you get to a seat, you're going to bring your left shin parallel to the front of the mat. Coming towards Sukhasana or box sit, that's what we're doing, we're creating a box shape with the legs. So the left shin parallel with the front of the mat. This left thigh is almost facing straight forward. Then the right shin is going to come in front of the left. So we've created a box with the legs. The shins are the front, the hips are the back, thighs are the sides. From here, make sure you're high up on the sitting bones. This may be enough. You may be feeling this in your outer hips already. If you want a little more, start to round over, chest towards the earth. Again, don't worry about how deep India is in this pose. This is her practice, and your practice is yours. You start to feel this, especially in your inner knees. Bring yourself out of it a little bit and flex your toes. Notice the difference that makes being engaged through the lower leg. Just a few more breaths here, releasing through the outer hips. One more exhale. Start to lift back up. All we're doing, switching over the legs. Yeah, so now the right is in a tiny bit closer. Left shin in front, thighs facing forward. Yeah? Your shins are going to feel weirdly far away from your hips. That's what it's meant to feel. Length through the spine. Again, this may be enough, or maybe you start to fold over. Releasing through the outer hips. And the reason outer hips and glutes is something we want to get into in almost every yoga practice. Any lunge shape you make, you're working through the outer hips. It's a giant muscle. It's important. Give it some attention, some love. One more breath out. Start to lift back up as you breathe in. Extend your right leg out. Bring the left sole of your foot to the inside of the right leg. Coming to Janu Shashasana, but two different variations. The first one, spin your chest to face that right foot. And lengthen through the right hamstring, so lift up first. Then think chest towards the toes. Again, you do not have to be this deep. But when we think chest towards toes, that's what keeps the lower back neutral. This lengthening in the hamstring and not the lower back. Play around with the breath. Let the midsection get bigger. Yeah, the inhale is going to do that. Then sink down into it as you breathe out. Got 2 more rounds of breath here. I want you to actively lift up just a little bit when you breathe in. Move into the space as you breathe out. It could be a really small movement. Start to lift back up. Spin the chest now to face that left knee. Coming into a side body opener, the right arm comes to the inside of the right leg. The left arm reaches up and over. Yeah, not towards the foot. Reach past it. To lengthen this side body, we want to take the left armpit away from this left hip crease. Think about keeping the right side of the body just as long as the left. One more breath here. Slowly back up. Place your left hand behind your left hip. Flash dance. Hips come up and forward. Reach back with the right. Make sure that left hand is really grounded. Take one more big expansive breath in. Reach a little further. Drop the hips to the earth and we'll switch over sides. Extend the left leg out. Right sole to the inside of the leg. Spin the chest to face the left foot, length through the spine first. Chest towards toes. Keep the sitting bones heavy. Straight away you can start to use that tool of creating space, moving into it, creating space, sinking down. One more round of breath. Start to lift back up. On a breath in, face the chest towards that right knee. Yeah, we want this twisting open first, then left arm to the inside of the left leg. Right arm reaches up and over. Keep spinning that chest open. And you may not look like this in this pose, you may not be this deep, but as long as you think about taking this right hip away from the right armpit, we're going to lengthen through the right side of the body. Yeah, that's why it's important we understand what's going on, so we can understand how to make these postures work for every single different body type, every person at different places in their practice. Take one more breath. Slowly start to bring that right hand behind the right hip. Hips move up and forward, open up through that front line, flash dance. Reaching with the left arm. Keeping the core engaged, take one more big breath in. Drop the hips. Spin both legs out in front. Into Paschimottanasana, we're going to come into a passive variation. Or begin version. So here the only activity we need is chin towards chest. Allow yourself to round over. We want as little muscular engagement as we can have, which I know is very different to what we've been doing. But what we're doing here is getting into our back functional fascia line that goes from the bottom of the skull all the way down the back of the legs, the soles of the feet. So you may feel it anywhere along there, maybe this strange nervy neural sensation. Stay with it if you can. If it's a bit much, just bring yourself a little bit out of the posture, but stay with the sensation. Stay with the breath, let that be the anchor. But the only engagement here is the chin towards the chest. Go, let go, let go. Slowly start to lift back up, lay down on your back. We're coming into a pose, Viparita Karani. If you have a block or a bolster, you're going to lift your hips up and place it underneath. If you don't, you're going to create two balls with your fists. That's going to come underneath your hips. Just enough to lift your hips up above your heart, and the soles of your feet are going to lift up towards the ceiling. And the only reason we're bringing something underneath our hips is to lift them a little higher than our heart. If you haven't already, close your eyes down. The blood and fluid rushing out of your legs. Let yourself relax. Start to switch off. Just 2 more rounds of breath. Really slow and gentle. As much control as you can muster. Start to bring your feet towards the earth. Remove your hands and your legs out. Take a moment here. Everything to settle back. Keep your left leg long. Start to hug your right knee into your chest, and before you twist, hug it in. Make some circles with that knee. Just encouraging this opening through the hip. This articulation. Slowly, when you're ready, start to take the hips towards the right, and that right knee is going to move over to the left side. Try and keep your shoulders heavy. Shoulders are anchoring you down. The knee is going to move to wherever it needs to move to. Through this whole practice, the breath in gives you space. Exhale lets you take advantage of that space. Take one more round. Start to move back towards center, readjust your hips, send your right leg out long, then hug the left in. Start to create circles through the knee. This active compression through the hip. Then adjust the hips to the left knee, moves to the right side. Shoulders heavy, breath fluid. Back towards center, towards a happy baby. Bring your knees towards your armpits, grab the back of your thighs, or maybe you grab a hold of your feet. If you can, try and keep your shoulders and your hips grounded and heavy. Your knees moving towards the earth. Allow this opening to gently grow. Gravity do the work. When you're ready, when you feel like the time is right, start to send your legs out long. Your arms down by your sides. We land in Shavasana, our final resting pose. No more work to do. Not with the physical body anyway. Think about sinking into this stillness, letting go of the breath. Letting go of the physical practice. If any thoughts of the practice start to pop up, try and look at them through this lens of gratitude, and just like everything else, let them go. to bring some awareness back to the breath. To once again land in your physical body. Take some small movements in your fingers and your toes. Gently start to roll over to one side. Stay as long as you need. Keeping your eyes closed, start to come towards a comfortable seat. As you land there, gentle bow through the head. Bring your hands to your heart in Anjali Mudra. A moment to acknowledge your practice, the practice of everyone else. We're all at different places. We're on the same path. As always, I leave you with what Maharaji left Ram Das: love everybody, tell the truth. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us again. If you have any questions, any feedback, my words aren't really working, please reach out to us. We love to hear it. Let us know how you're going with the new kind of classification of videos, how you're finding that. Hope you guys are all doing really well.
Take care, guys.